All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to my bishops, apostles, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom, salutations to the brothers out there pushing the word sincerity and truth. And shalom to your elect out there. And a brother I'm out for the DC Church with a real quick in transit. And it's something that was on my mind. It's 1 Corinthians 10 and I think 9. I can't read it right now. Like its traffic is too unpredictable. But it talks about you basically the Lord's not going to tempt you to that which you are able. You know, He's always going to make a way for you to escape. So you think about, like a race. You know, brothers into basketball, how, you know, I can only imagine how in basketball you played all 4 quarters, probably like, I don't know, 9 minutes left on the clock or however many minutes you get on the clock at the beginning of the 4th quarter. And then your arms are heavy. You feel like your feet are got cinder blocks on it. You know, you're just thinking about winning, and you know, then you can also be thinking about what are you going to do after the game. You're just thinking about just hurry up and finish it. You're thinking about your legs on fire. You know, your mind's just running rampantly. You know, it's not too far up the water. God damn! Nah, this traffic shit is stupid, man. Yeah, man. You know, yeah, this is when you in that fire, you in that mist, man. You think about the fire and how much it hurts, you know, and how bad you want to get out of it. But the thing about this flesh wants to like hurry up and escape. But the Lord has granted us those are spiritual exercises when you're brought to a lower state to strengthen your mental, to strengthen your spirituality. You know, you need a certain amount of mental toughness to reach a certain point of spirituality, because you have to cut off or deny certain activities or events in order for you to study, meditate, and put, you know, cast your treasures upon the Lord. You know, so that's how we know that we're doing the right thing by giving these sacrifices. You know, giving time and money towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. You know, so at the end, when we cash in our treasures, the Lord will grant us mercy. You know, He'll give us, deliver us out of certain scenarios. He'll give us spiritual powers to help out the elects. And it's all, hey, you know what's crazy? Oh, we was going, I don't think they was going into it. Salaki, I was thinking about class. But if I'm not mistaken, somebody was going into basically how in the wilderness, it was all about seeing, I think it was Elder Zainala, Zaquan Zainala. It was all to see what was inside Jake's heart, you know? And that's what, hey man, your trials and tribulations is all about to see what's in your heart. And see what can you take out and put in, what can you replace, right? Because we're always replacing negative thoughts with good ones, you know? You think about psychology and how they say, you know, you just have to replace the bad thoughts, you know, and they give yourself like 3 seconds to hurry up and do it, you know. I forget the rule of why you got to do it within 3 seconds, but I can only imagine, you know, how the flesh is a motherfucker, you know. And I told that's another, I can see that reason. I just thought about a reason, like how the flesh, man, is like spiritual weeds, you know, which if you would take your eye off them weeds for 1 second, they could get ahead and grow 6 feet within, you know, whatever amount of time, man. It grows fast. Meaning, so don't let that flesh breathe. Don't let it move. Don't give it no space at all. You know, to let it overcome you. You know, to let it persuade you and make an easy way for Satan to gather abroad. You know, to basically, you know, mess you up. And that happens, man. You know, to where, you know, you're in the same predicament you was in 3 weeks ago, and you know, and it happens, man. You know, that's a part of like why we put our trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, because this flesh is a motherfucker. Like I was talking about that race. Brothers know I wrestled and whatnot. I said, I can't say but brothers know I wrestled, and I thought about like it's a total opposite with wrestling, bro. You in there just to survive. So, you know, and that's another thing. Don't let that flesh breathe, man. You know, keep it subdued. You know, that motherfucker. You know, I think about brothers know the ones that I'm close with. MD, we'll just leave it there. Or Big Hurt. That motherfucker, man. I used to wrestle him, man. That was a battle, man. That was a real battle. That's how I get a lot of my technique from that dude. That dude was bigger than me. I was only 163 pounds. I'm like 225 now. I can't say 220. I did show you 227, 225. But yeah, with that all being said, like that dude, he used to make me work, and that's the same thing with your How About Shimei Awashai, to make you work, and then 6 months from now you'd be great, because all of the trials and tribulations that you've been through make you tough. So you will put your trust in the Lord. Like there's nothing I can do about it. You learn how to let go, which is the hardest thing in the world, man. To let go and don't think about it. So it moves. That's one thing about these pressure. There you go. See, that's how like this is all orchestrated of Esau, Edom. This highway I'm talking about, like how it just frustrates people, man. It's supposed to be everything's supposed to be in decency and order, but there's no order here. Everybody's trying to like get around and hurry up. It's disgusting here, living here. But yeah, just getting back to the point to where, the hardest part of the race is at the end, man. Thinking about giving up, thinking about all types of things, man, because what the scriptures talk about, the heart is deceitful and above all things, who could know it? The heart is constantly needing taming. That's why this beautiful description says, where shall a young man cleanse his ways? Basically like by going through the scriptures. And that's another thing too. It can't just be going through the scriptures. You have to perform the scriptures. You have to do. That's why it's important to do videos, because you got vocal cords, right? Who gives off a vibration, right? And you think about that vibration when you say those words. Yahweh Shimei Awashai. You got to pray before you turn on the camera. That you stay in alignment with Yahweh Shimei Awashai, staying in the spirit. You're not over talking, but you want to. If you do talking like this, you're talking scriptures, and you're talking about the spiritual behaviors which a spiritual man will conduct himself in. So that's why. I brought out 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. Damn, not 13. It's like 11. Now I gotta get it because I got a little bit of finally off this damn demon way. There's a highway for demons. But yeah, let's see what course, yellow lights. Yeah, Satan be just fighting to get us, man. That's why the scripture says, he shall wear out the saints. Got all these yellow lights, all this traffic. You're just trying to get to your destination. All these fucking drug addicts asking for money. Grab this real quick. Don't forget the marvelous. This is 1 Corinthians. We all know this one, but it's just good to go over to keep, stay in the spirit. This 1 Corinthians 10 verse 12. It says, therefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall. So if you in this truth, you standing on Yahweh Shimei Awashai, that foundation, that sound foundation, take heed of this. It says, there have no temptation taking you but such as is common to man. So what you go through, what you've been through, the apostles, the elder brothers, Shariam, Shatarium, they all been through it before. If not exactly something very similar. It says, but Yahweh Shimei Awashai is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. Right? So that's why the apostles and elders talk about to the best of your ability. Everybody has a portion of talent in this thing of ours, but don't get it twisted that talents can be produced. You could develop a spiritual gift by taking heed to another brother, seeing another, because we're a body. Don't get it twisted that, just because you're good in maybe the Hebrew doesn't mean you shouldn't get good at the history, the secular history. It says, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it, right? So the Lord will always give you a way to escape. A lot of the times you gotta ask for it. You know, that a lot of the time, like, dude, just talking from experience, you don't ask, the Lord won't give you the signs, you know? He won't give you the signs. That he's just waiting for you to ask him and get on your hands and knees and pray and beg. You know, begging is, supplication is righteous begging. There's nothing wrong with that type of begging. Begging for like money and other things. That's where he says live not a beggar's life. Right? Because that's a shameful thing to constantly be in a state of need. It says better is to give than to receive. You know, so that's why we're about to go ahead and bring this out. Micah. That's Salaki. Let me grab another one. Yeah, Salaki. I was just trying to do the in transit and stuff like that, just to get something out there. You know, because I thought about it a few times. It was like, man, you know, I used to run a lot. I ran with my brother a few times. He was a track star, more of like he did long distance. My dad was a track star. I used to run with like a boxer named G around Sunset Park. So yeah, I used to run a lot, man. Even when I came to Maryland, there was a period of time I didn't run, but when there was a point in time where I started like running almost every day. You know, I love running. This is Micah 7 verse 9. It says, I will bear the indignation of the Lord, because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. And that's the thing, man. We're going to wait and see what the Lord says. We're going to bear the indignation of the Heavenly Father and his Son. Because it's their foot to bring us to the light so we can shine. It says, let your light shine before men. You know, we have a talent. We have gifts. You know, we all have something, you know. But it's going through that rough patches for the Lord to get ahead and make you shine and polish you, you know. And a lot of times when you're polishing something, you got to sit there and keep going over and rehearsing it and going over it and going, you know. I think about the word rehearsal. You know, you got to keep rehearsing those things. Rehearsing it. That's why it says when you're brought to a lower state, don't run. That's for your character building. That's when you really get shaped and molded. And, you know, let that heat, let that uncomfortability purify you. Time and attention. That's where the money's made. That's where the bread is made, you know? That time and attention, just sitting there in that, what is it called? You know, you think about a pull-up. You could do like, what are those, when they hold it. And they just, you know, I forget, I don't know what it's called exactly, but you think about time and attention, man. You know how the Lord will put you under pressure, and you know you won't bug out. You know, of course it feels uncomfortable. Brothers might see it, you know, in your flesh, but it's all for what to shine better and better. You know, though the outward man perish, the inward man is renewed day by day. That's why we'll look at our apostles and elders and see, like, yeah, you know, clearly there's something marvelous going on. Because these men are still going. There's something I was thinking about. This is Psalm 17, verse 7. It says, show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand them which put their trust in thee, from those that rise up against me. It says, keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings. You know, we understand to put our trust in him. You know, show your love and kindness. You're marvelous. Because we catch a lot of hell, bros. Be honest, man. You know, during camp, we gotta, you know, you kind of have to turn your eye. That's why it's the point is I know it's spiritual that he said that. Like, brothers shouldn't be every Tom, Dick, and Harry that come across the camp, you suck your teeth and you gotta show that we don't like you. Nah, that's not good. That's not good mental fortitude, you know, showing what you're thinking and stuff like that. We're always thinking about being stoics and how we, you know, hide our emotions. Fuck them bitches, you know, fucking stupid ass emotions, man. Show somebody you don't like them. That's a good thing. Don't do that, because then, you know, dudes will wind up like that one New York guy, motherfucking, you know, got to get handled, you know, because you're acting a little too rowdy. So we don't want to do that, you know, even though we love to do that, but we don't want to do that. We're spiritual men, you know. Sometimes, you know, some of the flesh can kind of get the best of us. So that's why we make sure that flesh stays subdued. Don't give it no space, no broom, no broom. Don't give it no space, no room, no breath, no room at all. You know, gotta keep that stuff subdued, because we know that flesh is a mofo. But yeah, man, just recapping where I was going over as far as like the time and attention. You know, your integrity getting lower and lower as you get closer and closer to the finish line. You know, you think about you know, everything. When you run in, and it's like like I said, like during camp, man, you thinking about what you about to do, this and that, and that's just what it is, man. You know, but it's always the hardest part at the end. That's always the hardest part is always at the end, man. You know. So with that, I pray and hope that you was edified, motivation in the spirit to seek the Lord 10 times more, and made and comforted, you know, for these end times. You know, constantly trust in the Lord. No regard, regardless what happens to you, it's always about the refinement of you seeing what's in your heart. You know, and then just showing the Lord that, you know, whatever happens, that I'll never let go. I won't turn back wickedly to the you know, towards you. You know, and go back to the world where there's nothing there. You know, it's desolate. Like, I don't know if you didn't see that video, and I showed that tree in the middle of the parking lot. All the other trees had leaves on it and things of that nature, but there was a desolate tree bearing no leaves, man. You don't want. That's what you're turning back to when you turn your back on your Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So with that, you know, double honor to my bishops, apostles, and elders. Shalom to the brothers out there pushing the words, consider the truth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.